You are listening to Live Free with Rebecca Packard. With this podcast, Rebecca will help spiritual entrepreneurs and mompreneurs experience emotional freedom so that they can create calm and balance in all areas of their life. If you're ready to release your emotional baggage, trauma, and that constant feeling of overwhelm, then you are in the right place. Your journey starts now. Here's your host, Rebecca Packard.
Hi, welcome back. This is Rebecca Packard, and today I'm really excited. We have Pat Pomerleau here. She is a shamanic practitioner who I have had in my life for, actually, it's so funny. I just thought of this the other year. The other day, Pat and I have known each other for over 5 years now. Isn't that crazy? It has been that long. Doesn't time feel like time is like a made up thing anyway, but it's super made up lately. And so when I was talking to my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, we've known Pat for 5 years now. So it's amazing. I love her. She has helped my family. She has helped so many people and families. And she's been doing this work for over 15 years. And let's be realistic. She's probably been doing implementations of this work since she came into this world. And then 15 years ago went, hey, this came back like naturally to me because I was always doing it and I just didn't have a title for it. So Pat, hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to have you in this space to share about your shamanic work, about sacred work, and about how it's benefited you, how it's benefited the people around you, and how you've evolved your practice over the last 15 years, and how it's also probably had, like many people, a lot of shifts and changes since day one of practicing to now of practicing. And so I can't wait to talk about that with you. I would love if you would say hello and then give everybody a little background about yourself. Like you said, when I said it out loud, I was like, I know she's been doing this since day one. And you were like, I totally have. So introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Pat. Ward is my maiden name, Pomerlau. I'm 71 years old, still kicking. The last 28 years, I was working for a dentist. I've retired for 2 years now, but I waited to retire till I was about 70. So that's about the size of it, but I've met people along my way, along my path, that have introduced very interesting things to me. And I think it's been vice versa. We have I won't give the last name, but our friend Maggie, I think is the one who introduced us.
Yes.
And she's a fantastic healer. Yes. And luckily we worked together, Maggie and I, in the dentist field. And it was nice to have a group of people around you who were thinking the same thing. So you didn't have to wonder, should I say this? Should I not? We were all, that office was all together. So like I said, when I first started, I heard about Dory Cody from Brunswick, and she was a shaman. And I said, from a friend, I said, I'm going to go and see her, and I'm going to talk about what this power animal thing is. Although what I realized after our first meeting is that I had already brought in a power animal, probably 2-3 years before, by meditating. But that's when they were called a totem animal. So that now I realize, that it's called a power animal. I went, that's where he came from. And people who do this work are very close to their helping spirits, their power animals. And if I bring somebody a power animal, I don't share it with anyone but the person I bring it to. If they want to share it, that's perfectly all right. So I will tell you that the first one that came in for me was the Black Panther. Mm-hmm. And I happened to look, and, in my meditation, I saw this big black cat come out of the woods. And I went, now, what is that? I went, oh my God, it's a Black Panther. So when I started journeying, the Black Panther was there. He didn't give me the time of day. He walked ahead of me. He ignored me. And I went, okay. And next time I journeyed, I'm walking behind him again. Well, I wonder where he's going. And I look, and he'd go around the corner. about the third or fourth time I entered the journey, he was beside me. We were walking together. So you make a very strong bond with any power animal, and you have to realize that the power animal is actually an essence of yourself that has come out. Okay. So that's when I realized, I guess I have been doing this, but didn't know what to call it. So being a shaman, what you do is you are 99.9% being of service to someone else. Very rarely, I can't even imagine if I've ever journeyed for them to help me. They certainly do help me, but my initial reason for the journey is to help someone else.
Right. I think that's important you said two really big things in that space. One, you didn't sit down and everything was like, bam, 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 it's done. This is my power animal. The panther's working with me. There's a mutual respect that goes into this space. And when we sit down into these meditations, coming to the space of allowing, coming to the space of being the witness, coming to the space of being okay to be led by that space that wants to have that conversation with you, that reflection of yourself, that piece of the innate inward that is talking to you, letting it lead you, letting it guide you, letting it give you that next step, that next space, and then creating that relationship where you're working in a mutual respect. You're working in a balanced space. It's not I have this, I know. It's oh yeah, okay, I'm going to have to sit down and do this again because like the conversation is coming into balance. Oh, okay, I have another step and another step and another step. I think people get very frustrated that they'll sit down and they'll say, well, I did it and it didn't work. And I say, well, it's not one and done. This isn't a magic pill. It's a experience. It's a practice. They call us practitioners and all of this a practice for a reason. We're doing it again and again. And the fact that you also said you don't sit down. Every one of our clients, everyone we work with, every person who's in our path, every person who is in our family or in our community or comes into us, our bubble, right? Our energy comes in to touch us and be a part of our story and be a part of who we are and who we become. And we're having a mutual conversation. We are helping each other. And it's not going into a practice going, I need to get something from this. It's what can I give from this? And I know that through my giving, I'm going to receive the healing that I need and the learning that is going to help me evolve, right?
I have been blessed doing this work. And when it comes to your helping spirits, your power animals, it takes a while to build a trust with each other. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people I know, they may think they have to be on their knees. Oh my God, I'm not worthy to work with you. They don't want that. No. You are no good to them if you're on your knees and you say, I'm not worthy to work with you. They want to work with us. Mm-hmm. And they want us to be treated as equals because we are here on this physical world, which they are not. They need us as much as we need them.
Yeah, and it creates that balance.
Beautiful balance.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's an imbalanced relationship, and we know that doesn't work.
When I say a meditation, when I first did that, I called it a meditation. The shamanic journey is actually going into different realms. Yeah. When somebody says, what's the difference between a medium and a shaman? Well, a medium, spirit comes to the medium. The shaman goes to spirit. Okay, we leave. And we listen to our drumming, which puts us in a theta stage for our brain waves. So it puts you in actually the meditative state. But I find it much easier to travel in other dimensions than I do here. I'm always lost here. Okay, I need a GPS. I go down the wrong road. Then I think to myself, well, Pat, you do go in other dimensions. I know, it's so much easier.
So much easier there.
And there is no time and space. What the shaman calls their realm is a non-ordinary reality. is what we call it. So
Mhm.
you can go into, it doesn't matter if it's something in the past, something that may occur in the future, which would be a set of possibilities,
Right,
or the present.
right.
That
And
it is definitely with listening to the drumming and being on a different level and being able to leave, physically I'm here. And
right,
that's why I do my work remotely. I don't, people will say, can you come to the house? Well, no, I don't go to people's
you don't
houses.
need
I
to.
do it, I do it in my space.
Yeah,
And then I ask the questions. I get the answers, the symbols. It's not always, this is what you have to tell them. It's never like that. It's always uh, showing you what could happen if they went a certain way, or anything like that. It's never a yes or no. It's up to you to discern.
right. Well, and I think it's important to say that too, because I know that over the years I've had people who will say, well, tell me what's going to happen, or tell me which way I should go, or and I'm like, these are possibilities. You have so many different options. You have so many events or people or circumstances that can cross your path that can change the way that things go. And many of them will lead to that one thing that you're seeking, and then some of them will lead in a different direction. But it's your free will that will
No,
allow you to
absolutely.
choose that in the center of your true desire will lead you. And that is up to you to make that choice. It's not up to me
Yes,
to tell you which choice to make, because that's not going to help you.
yes. If you go one way, the most likely outcome would be this.
Right.
But if you change something along the way, then you set up a whole new possibility of something else to happen. And
Right.
it could be good, it could be not so good, it could whatever. But
Right.
you are the being who makes that choice.
Right. There could be
Okay.
more tests or more
Yep.
obstacles if you
Yeah.
choose, or
Yeah.
it,
Well, I
and
think
like,
we are the only planet in this solar system, I believe, that has free will. It might be even beyond that.
yeah,
But this is a very interesting place to be, Mother Earth.
they say it's the number one test, right?
It is, you have to be very courageous to even want to come to Earth, although Earth is beautiful.
Yes.
But
Right.
the free will is a big one.
It's a funny,
Mm,
funny animal, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. And of
I love
course,
it.
with free will, you are always 100% responsible and accountable for your choices.
Mm,
You can't
guys
say,
heard that,
this
right?
one
You
made
heard
me
what
do
she
it.
said.
Yeah, this one made me do it. This one talked me into it. No,
No,
no, you
no.
are 100% responsible for your choices.
I
And
love that you're saying that, Pat.
once you leave the physical realm, you go to an area of where you are. You go to the level of your understanding. You can't buy your way out of it, talk your way out of it. Your essence is your essence.
Mhm.
And people say, where do you go after you die? Well, you actually go to where you are. I know it's an odd answer, but you do. You go to your level of awareness, understanding, and growth.
Right.
And we keep going.
Yep. I think that is huge to say, is that it is about our responsibility and our accountability, because
Absolutely.
there has been a lot of if this, then that, or how come, why not, if I had then. And it's about, wow, that happened. Okay, what's next?
What's next? If I
What,
have to fix something, let me fix it. Let me
what do I say?
understand it. Because
Yeah,
once you understand something, you cannot not understand it after. Okay.
right,
It's almost like
right.
sewing a quilt together. Once you learn something, that becomes a part that's sewn into your quilt, and that becomes you. You can't say you don't know anymore. You've learned it, you've seen it, you've lived it, and it becomes part of you.
Yeah, it's a fiber of your being now,
Yes.
and it's part of your vibration now. And
Yeah.
so it's all part of the conversation of you moving forward in your life. And when we acknowledge that space and we take full responsibility and we take full accountability, you'll recognize that every time you do that, the lessons get lighter and lighter. Everything
and
moves
I think we're
smoother
all
and
responsible.
smoother.
I accept it. I relish in the fact that I'm my own master. I'm the one who
Yes.
can make those choices.
Yep.
Okay, so I think it's a wonderful thing. It's not
Yep.
bad to be responsible.
Nope.
It's great. It gives
It's
you that power.
I was just going to say, it gives you an
Oh.
amazing power.
Yes.
It gives you such power to say,
Yeah.
oh, yes, yes.
And I don't down anybody who doesn't think the way I do or anything, because my
That's not-
God, why would you? We are
Right.
all free to think what we want.
Mhm.
And we're all free to help each other through it. You know, we are a part, okay? We're all a spark of the creator,
Mhm.
okay? Every one of us. So we are one.
Right.
But in a physical body, we are sort of apart. So I always say, stand apart, but stand side by side.
Yes.
Okay.
I love that. Stand apart, but stand side by side. We're all part of a machine.
Yeah.
We're all
This
here
is something else
doing.
I kind of do. I write incantations too. Sometimes I have to
Yeah.
get up in the middle of the night and write something down because somebody's told me that. That was one of them. And I said, I don't understand this, but yes, I do understand it. Stand
Right.
apart, but stand side by side.
Yeah. Well, because we're all united and our energy is always touching somebody else's energy. And we're like a clock. And when one cog is out, we're all out. And so coming into the space of being side by side and moving together and moving through our truth, not everybody else's truth, but our
Right.
truth, keeps us in balance. And that's why there are people that are doing this work. And that's why there are people who are like, hey, I need you in my life to help me do this work. And that's why there are people who are like, that's not for me, because it's different levels of the clock. It's different levels of the machine. It's different ways that it all creates balance, right?
And it's all okay.
And it's all fine. So it's not about choosing the one thing. I wanted to talk about that too. The one thing. You use multiple modalities and practices, and very much I use multiple modalities and practices, and that's okay if you only do one, but it's also okay if you do multiples, right?
Yes, because if you learn so many different ways of doing things, then you put it together, and it becomes you.
Right.
But it's not something that you learn overnight.
No.
Quite a process, and it's a beautiful process. Because the more you learn, the more you understand. You think, darn it, I wish I had thought of that before, you know?
Definitely.
When I go into a journey, I try not to have any preconceived ideas about anything. And I know something will come up and I'll write it down and I'll go, you know, I didn't come up with that because I wouldn't even have thought of it. I wish I had thought of it, but it wasn't me. And I think that was brilliant, but it wasn't me.
And you're like, thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you for making that easier for me. I appreciate that. Right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love that, because I also with so many people turning to these practices over the last 2 years, I've seen like a huge spike.
Oh, really?
So many people are like, yes, let me do the things, and it's fantastic and it's wonderful and it's amazing, and realize that it doesn't have to be one and done. It doesn't have to be only one way, and you don't have to be in a like to go into spirituality and put yourself into a box is like kind of what do they call that? Like I can't even think of the word, but you know what I mean? It's like it's a false truth. Like the whole point of going into it is to expand. Yes, right.
No, exactly. You come into your infinite awareness through that.
Right.
You actually expand from that little box.
Right.
That little box is just 3-dimensional. Okay.
Right.
You step beyond it, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, this makes more sense.
Right.
You know,
and each time you put one of those tools into the box, each time you expand that next level and that next level and that next level. It's not that the other thing didn't work. It's maybe you've just vibrated beyond it. Maybe it's part of, you're still going to use those practices. You're still going to use those things, but maybe this can show you, like you said, you get an incantation that pops into your head and you're like, I know I didn't do that, but like, awesome, that just made life so much easier.
I have a whole book of them that I typed
Right.
out and everything. And I said, well, these are things, and I date them. I put the time that I wrote it. And sometimes it's just like it sticks in your head. You got to write it down.
Yep.
So I write it down. Some of it is on healing. Some of it is on just time and space, which doesn't really exist, except for we need it because we are in a 3-dimensional world. If we didn't that, we would be lost.
Right.
How could I say, I have an appointment at 2:00? Oh, shoot, if I didn't have time or any space to, but move out of that small band of awareness, and boom, there's so much more. But we still need our 3-dimensional length, width, depth, just because that's what we see. It's almost like if you blow a dog whistle, okay, well, we don't hear it. The dog reacts. Does that mean it doesn't exist? No, it's a different frequency.
Right.
So you tune into, it's like an old radio, tune into the frequency you want, because it's all there and it's all here. It's not that this dimension's over there, that one's there. It's all here.
Right.
That's a hard one I can see it in my head, but it's hard to explain.
Articulate. Yeah. I think it's like, so if we have time and we have calendars and all the things, it's like another language that we can all be bilingual in, because everyone can use it. And it allows us all, no matter who we are or what we are or what faith we choose or what language we speak or where we are in the world, we all know, okay, Monday is Monday and Tuesday and 2:00 is 2:00. And it allows us to all find a space of time to create a parallel. Right. To create a workable space.
Yes, because we have to have that right now. Where we are right now, because we are moving. We're going through the 4th and into the 5th dimension.
Yeah, we are quite quickly.
Yeah, the 4th is tricky, and you don't want to be there too long.
No.
Okay, some of the things in the lower 4th dimension, even though they vibrate higher than us, we're seeing things that we didn't know were there. So all of a sudden, you flip this light switch on, like, oh, there are no shadows anymore. Okay? Nothing can hide in the shadows anymore. So you want to quickly move through that and get into the 5th. And I believe that from what I'm hearing, seeing, experiencing, we are getting into the 5th now.
Yeah.
So some of those lower based emotions are starting to drop away because they don't fit into, they only fit into the 3rd dimension. So I'm looking forward to dropping some of those things.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I know we had the conversation of there was so much energy shifting so quickly, and there were so many different things coming up that a lot of, I mean, let's be realistic, you guys, it's been a hell of a year. And everyone kept going, 2021 is going to be so much better. And it is, but it's a lot of still confetti. There's still confetti.
Moving. Yeah, we're still
moving.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for your self-care and for your, I feel like preservation is the wrong word, but at the same time, it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not about self-preservation but I know that it's more than self-care, because it's keeping your energy moving in the direction of the 5th dimension and not a regression. You know what I mean?
Yes. I've learned that I am accepting people more for who they are and giving them a break.
Amen.
Saying, you know what? You don't have to be like me. I don't have to be like you. But we're okay.
That's okay.
We're all
and
okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. And to try not to judge people, because you've never been in their shoes. Okay, they haven't been in mine. I mean, I've gone through things in my life that were very difficult. I lost a son when he was 38 years old. Okay, if I had not done my work as a shaman and journeyed and all of this, I don't know how I would have gotten through that. That is one thing, and I think I was being prepared for not only other people's lives but for my own. So I have learned a whole lot, and I have actually journeyed to him. I have journeyed. So you become aware, how can I put it, that there's so much more out there than, not that the physical world isn't good. It is. But you just expand your awareness to know that it's all good.
Right.
Even when you step out of that. And sometimes you have it in your head, but it's hard to put words to things.
Right.
But I know that just learning what I've learned, that has kept me on an even keel. And one thing I
Stepping
don't
outside
do
of the linear is not a bad thing.
No,
It can,
but you just can't be, you can't just be there either and not
No.
here.
Right. There's, again, it keeps coming up, you guys. Have you recognized? We keep saying it over and over again. There's a balance.
A balance. See, I'm
Balance.
air, my husband is Earth, Taurus and Libra. He keeps me grounded. Okay. And you'll say that sometimes, you know, you got to come back to Earth sometimes too. Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's a good balance. I was going to say something and I forgot. See, that's another part of getting older.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, that like people go, oh, well, now if you get into this or you start doing that, you're using it as escapism. And I don't think that self-tools and modalities and practices should ever be pushed as escapism. It's a mother tool in your chest to help you to evolve on this plane, to help you to see things from another perspective, to help you to allow yourself that education and that amplification that even allows you to be of service to other people in a bigger way. And when people think, oh, being of service, well, I don't want to do this as a job, or I don't want to have clients, or I don't want to go here and I don't want to do that. You're not needing to do anything but be of service, right?
Exactly. Some people will say that, and even my husband sometimes, and he's right into all of this. I mean, he's much more down to earth than I am. But if everybody can be on one foot here, one foot there, but you really have to be very grounded. And you don't have to help everyone in the world. And then if you don't, you feel bad about yourself. You know what you have to do? Hold the light. Be yourself. Be a good person. Hold the light. If you're taking care of your family, what more can be asked from you?
Right.
Okay? You don't have to drag yourself through class after class after class. You don't have to do any of that. Just hold the light. And the more light there is, it makes the earth that much lighter. So it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I feel like when somebody says, oh,
that's fine. Yeah. You know, and I read, was it Marianne Williamson in one of her books said, sometimes we are here to tend the garden while all the chaos is going on. Okay, so some of us are here to tend the garden, take care of things, take care of the earth, take care of your family, take care of yourself. And that might be all that's being asked of you.
Right.
And
when people get into the space of like doing, if you're doing, how are you practicing? If you're pulling, and you're learning all these things, how many of them are you truly implementing?
Yeah.
And when you see that, okay, so I have recently spoke with somebody and they said, well, you know, I'm taking so many classes and then my husband's complaining and my kids are out of control and da 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 da. And I'm like, I love you so much. But is that causing you chaos or is that causing you the balance that you're striving for? Are you feeling love or disconnection and anxiety? And she was like, OMG, I didn't even, because my thought process was, this will help, this will help, this will help. Yeah. And then it wasn't. And so, because there was no implementation. And so then she came back to me about,
feel drawn to, I have to do this, or I'm not of any service to anybody. No, you're of service to everybody by being yourself.
Yep.
And letting you don't even have, you can send the light. I send light. I mean, I go through the grocery store and I send light to the turkey I'm buying, okay, and I thank them.
Right.
But you don't have to. It just when I think about it, I said, well, thank you for giving us your all, and I'm bringing you home, and you're going to. But you don't. All you have to be is just grateful. It's love and gratitude. Okay.
Right.
And just be grateful for everything that's in your life. But you
Yep.
don't have to overdo it and become so out of balance, you become sick.
Right. Right. Because that's the other thing is our physical body will tell us that we are out of balance because it will say, you're tired,
Yes.
you're anxious, you're sick, you are not feeling well. It's time for if your whole body is saying take a nap, take a nap, take a nap, and you physically could take a nap and you're choosing not to, you're out of balance and your body is just begging for you to just take a second, take a breath, stand still, be in the moment.
And don't feel guilty about it.
And don't feel bad about it. Right. I think that's a big thing is don't feel bad about it. I think a huge, huge benefit, and I know that there will probably be some comments of criticism because it is what it is. The benefit of the past year has been the ability for people to slow down, to see what is truly and utterly important in life, and to them, not to everything around them, and not to all of this social conditioning and media mogul battery. Because a lot of people went, I am actually going to shut the TV off. I am actually going to disconnect this, and this. I am actually going to step back.
Mainstream media for over a year. I won't watch the news because it's biased. I actually don't even look at Facebook anymore. Nope. I used to like just somebody's little stories or something like that, but it's become angry.
Yeah.
There were things you read and then you go, well, I don't know why they're saying that. So I said, I'm actually better off not seeing it.
Right.
So I don't look at it anymore. Not that I'm disconnected with anything. I'm certainly not disconnected with anything. I'm just not watching certain things that I don't believe are for my highest and best good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's okay. Everybody, you're listening to that, right? It's okay.
I listen to podcasts like you put on. I listen to other podcasts. Okay. Yeah. And I get different opinions and all of that, and then formulate my own opinion.
Right. Right. And that's the other thing, formulating your own opinion, being able to step back and say, that's actually not my opinion, and you can have your opinion and I can have my opinion, and that's okay. But that's also something that's completely outside of my control, and I can only control, and I can't even control. We use that as a falsity because none of us are in control of anything, but I am in my safe space. And my safe space is my bubble, and I can contribute in a positive space, in my family, and in my community. And outside of that space, I will choose to positively contribute and positively show up and positively send love and light and all the things. But I can't necessarily be of the service that I can be in those spaces in this tangible space that's reachable for me. And so leaving yourself the space to step away from that is completely okay.
It is okay, but you always just send light and love to the whole, the human race, the earth, inside and outside of the earth, the animal kingdom, nature, the mineral kingdom. If you can just send, you know what I'd like to send is sacred sound too. There's something about frequency sound that heals. So when I do my healing work at night for the earth, I always send sacred sound. Okay. And I at that point I don't listen to drumming. I have one that I listen to, and it's ocean sounds.
Oh yeah.
It's so beautiful that I said it makes me feel comfortable when I listen to it. So now I'm sending it to you. So there's a lot you can do without even leaving your home if you choose.
Right.
When I do healing work at night, I call in the healers, the light workers, and the spiritual warriors, because we do need our warriors also. And they showed me one time what it looked like to them. So this is what you look like. And it was a dot of light. When I start calling everybody in to do the healing together around the earth, there's many dots of light, but not one dot was any bigger or brighter than the other. They were
Right. You
all,
don't put a candle out by lighting a candle. You make
no,
more
they
light.
were all the same, not like, well,
Right.
this one's more important, the light is brighter. No,
Nope.
the
Doesn't work like
dots of
that.
light were all the same,
Yeah.
and it was beautiful.
Right. Right. And that's the other thing is I think that people get so caught up in that it has to look like this and it has to be like this and it has to take this much time and it can't take any more than this time. Or if you are in the space of a practice that feels uncomfortable, shifting that practice and changing that practice is completely okay. Like you do a practice every night. I do a practice every night. My practice doesn't take more than 10 minutes at night. And I
Me
do it
too.
right as I'm going to bed. I go get in my bed and I'm like,
By then I'm going to
okay,
sleep.
yeah, I'm going to do the things.
Yeah,
And it doesn't have to be a 45-minute or a 3-hour practice.
No.
It doesn't make you any lesser or more or different. Like, yeah, it makes you different. Fine. Awesome. Cool. But it can be a 3-minute practice. It can be a
It can be
1-minute
a thought.
practice. The practice can be as simple as thank you.
a thought,
Right.
Yeah. And an intention.
Right.
My intention is I'm sending this to the whole, and then I expand it to the solar system, the galaxy, and the universe.
Yep.
I said, everything I do here, everything we do for healing work here, I extend it to the whole universe because there are other planets who are going through the same thing we are.
Mhm.
So let's
Yeah.
help them along the way. I don't know, people think that there are other planets, but there's got to be other realities out there.
I have always been someone, even when I was little, I got in trouble in science class. I was like, to believe we are the only planet in this solar system of who we are is a little egocentric to think
Yes.
that we are
You're
like,
looking through the funnel
oh,
the wrong
we
way.
special. Like,
Yeah.
like we are special. We're amazing. Don't get me wrong, but aren't we all? But aren't we
Yes.
all?
Yeah.
And we are. And so to believe that there isn't something else somewhere else in another form or parallel or time or being is not about us needing to fear it, needing to step away from it or create resistance from it, but recognizing that everything needs love right now. And so any of us who can just open our heart and say, I'm just going to let all the love be the love. That's it. I'm just gonna
Your heart chakra just
everywhere. And they say what it's I actually have this right now on my I'm not on my Facebook a lot, but on my Facebook the picture that represents me on my page is the it's the essentially it's a test of evolution of who we are as an energetic being. And it says that the heart is over 5,000 times more powerfully magnetically advanced than our brain or our,
Oh yeah.
and so the more that we think and feel and be from our heart, and the more that we choose to, even in the space, like the hardest thing to do is to love your enemy, but it's the best thing for you to do because your enemy is only your enemy. And I only say enemy because that's a word that people can recognize, but anything that causes you discomfort or causes you separation or causes you anxiety or causes you something to be separate from yourself, to send that space love, it's only there because a part of you fears it, or a part of you needs to recognize that somewhere in you is that.
Oh yes, because sometimes you have to think it.
Right.
Thank it. You know.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, with some people, thank you for teaching me how not to be. Some of it, you know.
Right. Yep. And then sending it love. All the love. Because that's also another thing in the space of, I know that you've had some big upgrades over the past year in the space of your practice and everything. And you've been sharing your work in a much bigger way, which I love because I love your work and it's done amazing things for me. But you've also had different things that you've implemented into your practice. And
yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about those things in your sacred work?
I'm pretty sure it was with you. Was it with you that my white wolf came?
Yes.
And I was journeying to your house to put protection and everything else. And my like, we have many power animals. They come in when we need them. Okay, with the job that you're doing, this is the one which is part of you who is helping you. So I'm looking in your house, not peeping or anything. I'm
No, I
standing
invited her
outside.
in, you guys. I
Yeah,
totally invited her in. She was totally welcome. We knew she was
Yeah.
there.
And I'm cloaking your house to keep it safe from dimensional threats. Okay, keep it safe. And all of a sudden, the whole house turned totally white, like a beautiful white light. I went, oh, see, this is something I can't make up, because I was shocked myself. And I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden it starts morphing. It becomes smaller, then it comes out the door, and as it's coming towards me, it turns into this beautiful white wolf. And he comes over and he sits there, and I went, so you're the one who's going to help me with this type of work, aren't you? So now the white wolf comes in all the time. So that's just an addition to what you've already been doing, is just another level. When I also do work of extracting negative energies. Not many people like to do that. For some reason, I'm drawn to it.
Which I think in so many ways.
I was told by somebody years ago that you will be dealing with the darkest of the dark, and you will be bringing them a nourishment. I went, damn it, I want it to be the one with the long blonde hair, the white robe, and the little flowers in the hair. No, I have to put the mucklucks on and go down and save something but they were saving.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, because it creates the balance. The more that you're doing that work and the more that people take on that work, it's creating that balance of the negative and the positive. It's right now we have a lot of stuck. There's a lot of imbalance. There's a lot of transitions that haven't been completed. And so
there's a lot that have not made the full transition. And these are the ones I help.
And that's where you go.
And even with my shamanic teacher, I explained it to her. And she goes, that is another job that shamans do. She says, I'm just not comfortable doing it. But thank goodness somebody is.
Right.
I've been attacked by some of these things. But what do? You smile at them. Right. And you look at it. And sometimes it's just an energy, not necessarily an entity.
Right.
And, you just send it. You send it to wherever the next level of their awareness is. And I always call in major, major protection. I would never tell anybody to do any of this work without really studying it, experiencing it, and
having a mentor in it.
Yep. When I go to my space, my sacred space, and we're going to do this work, I listen to them. I have heard before, I would not go to that space right now. Okay. And we will do it from here. So this is what I mean about working very closely with your group.
Right. Your team is your team. And if you think about it on this parallel, think about the New England Patriots, you guys. If they don't work as a team, they don't win the Super Bowl. Right. And like every journey is kind of like going on the Super Bowl. I hate to say it that way, but I feel like sometimes we need to bring it to that like physical realm, because this is a really, really big deal to me in the space of keeping people safe. And when you're saying like Pat has over 15 years, like we're saying 15 years because that's when she was taking on clients and everything, but we know she's been doing this her whole life, but she's been studying this for over 20 years. And the practice of safety as an EMT, like my background was an EMT, the number one thing that every police officer, that's right. Remember, I remember, yes, having that whole conversation. The number one thing every firefighter, EMT, every police officer is taught is if it's not safe for you, don't go in, because you can't help someone if you're not okay.
Right.
There's no one to quote unquote save if you can't save yourself.
You're actually causing more trouble.
You're actually causing more trouble. Right. And I love that you just said that, but it's that space of knowing the practice, having a respect for the practice, showing up as an equal in the practice, creating a balance in your life where you're using your practice, you're practicing your practice. Like, hello, we all are practicing our practice every single day. And then acknowledging the space of, if you are given the message of no,
Not now.
respecting the practice of no. I remember my husband has been speaking with Pat about journeying and all these different things. And I have also, in my practices, people come to me and ask me, well, I want to do this, or I've been practicing this. And because of what I've learned through Pat, I'll say the number one thing I ask everyone who asks me, oh, I'm doing journey work. I'm like, who are you journeying with? And they go, nobody. And I go, then you should probably stop and find a mentor, because you should never be journeying alone. Right. And alone doesn't mean another person in the room.
No, you should never be just taking this on without knowing. In shamanic work, we have 3 worlds we go to: the lower world, the middle world, the upper world. I tend to go to the lower world, which is of light. It looks like the earth. Nothing negative can ever be there. It's sacred. The upper world, of course, everybody would know what the upper world is. If I'm supposed to go to the upper world and I'm thinking I'm going to my regular place, I've been hauled up by the scruff of the neck and brought, and I've walked right through and gone to that world. What you never want to do alone is go to the middle world, because that's where all the shit is. There are entities, there's darkness, there's the ones who haven't made it.
Right, it's limbo for a reason, guys. There are myths about this for centuries for a reason. Okay, like
even going to your house. When I say I'm going to Rebecca's house now, we're going to do this work. That is setting me up to be in the middle world. But I go there with a huge amount of protection.
Right.
And we go together. We
partner.
All go together. And yes, we all go together. And if I need to, I just say, Archangel Michael, warrior angels of light, take this darkness from my sight. Boom. Okay, they're there instantly if you ask them. Did you really? Not that I'm saying some people can't do it. Everybody can do this work. You just have to do it a proper way to protect yourself and to protect everybody else that you're working with.
Right, because you don't want to unleash something unknowingly, or you don't want to bring something back on you. I've had people who have had parasites. I've had people who have had entities. I've had people who have had all kinds of things. I have had these things, and that's why I have my practitioners and my practices and releasing those things. It's important to have that space of respect, that support team, physical and non-physical, to recognize there are some things that you should be doing for yourself and some things that are outside of your realm of practice at this time. And like Pat's saying right now, she's like, well, my cup of tea is to do the dark things. My cup of tea is not to do the dark things, and that's why I have Pat in my life.
When I was a child, I was a chicken shit. I was afraid of everything. And I said, no, what the heck,
Right.
But it's true. And there's just certain, but never conjure something you can't get rid of. Okay. People say, I'm gonna take the Ouija board out. Never open it. You can't shut. Because if you can't shut it, you got it. It's gonna go boom.
Yes. Yes.
Then you got something you got to get rid of.
Right.
So never conjure anything and let something loose. And I'm afraid a lot of people do, and that's why we have some of the stuff around.
Absolutely. Because there's a toy company selling those things, and they get super saley at Christmas time. Last thing I would ever buy a family member at Christmas time was a Ouija board. Guys, if somebody's
I had it when I was a child, you know what? I still have it because I don't want to throw it away. I'm afraid I'm not going to give it away. I probably will burn it in my fireplace, my outside fireplace, and then put a lot of sage, a lot of mandrake, a lot of wonderful herbs in there. It's not that I'm afraid of it.
But it's powerful energy. It's not a game.
My sister and I would do it. That thing would go all over the place. We'd just laugh. Going,
I think
Well,
you
it's
guys,
upstairs
if
in
you're
my
listening
closet.
and you've had an experience with a Ouija board, I totally want you guys to comment, because I think every one of us that's in this space or that's been drawn to this has had some experience with a Ouija board that when we were like, okay, like I've recognized that for a lot of people, it's that first space where they go, ooh, there's something bigger than me.
Yeah,
Holy
and
moly.
don't open that door.
No, and put it
No.
back.
So just realize that I still have it because I think it's safer with me
Than
than if
anywhere
I
else.
threw it away and somebody might find it. Well, I'm not giving it to Goodwill. I'm not gonna.
No way.
Staying right in that closet. I have actually sealed it
Mm-hmm.
in my head, frozen it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not doing any harm because it's right now cloaked with
Right.
goodness,
Right.
because this thing is not gonna go out there. I said, well, someday when I have the fireplace outside going, I might toss it in.
Right. But even a part of you goes, maybe not yet. The world's not ready for that yet.
No, I don't want any of that energy going anywhere.
No, because I know, like right now, I've seen a lot of people who are being drawn to Oracle and Tarot and
Yes. Which is
using dowsing
absolutely
rods.
wonderful for the people who know how to use it.
And
They get so much information. I've gone to people who drew cards for me. I have cards, the old cards that I use. But boy, before I do it, I do my ritual.
Absolutely.
And I only ask for the truth. And probably spirit just goes, oh God, it's her again. I ask for the truth. I said, I don't have time to sift through the bullshit. Just give me the truth. Don't give me the business. Zoom it right in to the truth. Yeah.
Right. And I think that is a big thing, is that it's not just about willy-nillying. It's a general respect.
Yes.
When you are going into these spaces. And I know that it is becoming very mainstream. It's becoming very popular. They're everywhere. I mean, you guys, I was at TJ Maxx the other day and they had 4 different tarot decks and oracle decks that you could buy at TJ Maxx, and they're selling white sage and everything. And that's fantastic. And I love that so many people are open to this. And I love that so many people want to learn about this. And I love that so many people are evaluating more tools that can work for them and more practices that can help them to be their truth, but do it from a space of respect, not of what's cool. Don't have a shiny penny effect with this, because it's not a game, it's not a toy. These are practices that have been around for centuries for reasons. And they have come and gone in the space of what's popular, but they have always been there. I mean, what did they said they can track? I mean, let's be realistic. The first tarot cards were ruins, and they've can track those for centuries. So these are practices and divinations that have been around as long as man. And so turning that key on that door, it's not something to be afraid of, but it's something to have a general, true, honest to goodness respect for.
Respect is it.
Read the book that comes with the things. Reach out to a member or a mentor. Talk to people in the spaces that are doing these things. Ask the questions to the people who you're drawn to, whether it be in life, in social media. And then also recognize that their practice might not be your practice, but the general respect of the tool that you're using is always important. Okay. Because I feel like that really needs to be stressed at this time, because we are going through a major up level in humanity. We are going through a major up level in the vibration of the planet and humanity and the animals and all the things. And that's going to make people more drawn to the tools that can help them. And so whether it's a religious artifact, whether it's a spiritual artifact, whether it is a tool in that space or a person in a course, ask that you're always led by your truest and highest good.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like that's really important.
Yes, very well.
Very important.
Yes. And if I journey into another dimension, I know that when I step through there, something in that dimension notices a shift in something, notices something has stepped in that doesn't belong here. And even this is in the dream state that was very, very clear to me, which isn't quite a dream, that this woman told me, she says, when you step into a place like that, make sure you silence yourself. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, look at the little kitten coming out. And the kitten jumped at my feet. I went, well, he's biting my feet. And she just laughed. And she said, now, silence yourself. Silence your pitch. Silence everything about you, so that it's no longer being felt by anything else. The kitten came in and walked right by me. Okay, so you silence your sound, there's a whole bunch of things you just silence, and then you walk in, you do your work, and you walk out. Then you're not affecting anything.
Right, because vibration is
now saying that woman's crazy, right?
No, because it's true. Because we talked about a couple weeks ago, if you were listening a couple weeks ago, we talked about vibrational energies. We talked about the frequency of who you are and the silent vibrational conversation that you're having with the universe. We've talked about the ping pong conversation that we're having with the universe. And when it comes into these sacred practices and things like shamanic journeying, you guys, these vibrational frequencies are everywhere, and they're on all of these different levels and parallels. And so when you are putting yourself into a space, you are a vibrational being, and you're always sending out, think of it like sonar, like dolphins. There is always an energetic conversation happening with the universe, unless you ask it to be silenced.
And you silence your tremor. So your movement doesn't alert anybody. Your sound doesn't. Now I've even added heat to it. Like you walk in, and I looked at a candle one time, and then I saw this that went up over the candle, the heat. I went, that's another thing that would show.
Another thing.
Silence the pitch, silence the tremor, silence the heat. So, okay, so it's all
reptiles only see in heat.
Yeah. Huh?
I said reptiles only see in heat.
Reptiles, oh yeah. We won't get into all of that.
Right, we're not going to go there, but even in seriously, like it's important to know these things when you come into these practice, when you start practicing these things. And she's been doing this for 15, 20 years, and she's still evolving this practice. She's still learning these tools. She's still evolving the way that this is working for her in her life and the different things. And that's the important part, is to not rush the process. It's to not jump ahead of where you are in your lesson. It's to practice your practice.
Right, and listen and pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Right. And when you're getting that signal over and over again of this isn't working, or this, take this direction, or move in this space, or shift this, or talk to this person, or don't talk to this person, listening to those. I like to be like, oh, it's ET, piece of candy, follow the Reese's, you guys, like just piece of candy. Okay. The next thing, and always be asking. I ask every single day that only people of my highest and greatest good be put in my path. Anyone who falls away, they're not of my highest and greatest good, or they've given me the lesson and we've completed our journey together. It doesn't mean that they're all of not. It's just that has come and it's gone, and that conversation has passed, and we're all where we needed to be in our lesson. But that every single day,
people are just dropping off of something, and it's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. And I feel like I feel like right now, that's a huge conversation that needs to be had. And I love that it's coming up for us right now, because people are feeling bad about, I mean, even in the space of social media, they're like, I keep following my cousin, and she says the most horrible. I'm like, she doesn't know if you don't see it, right? So if you unfollow her, like, unless you come right out and tell her, she ain't gonna know you. Like,
oh my God, I have unfollowed before, and I don't want to hurt them. I'm just tired of seeing. I just can't look at this anymore.
Protecting your energy helps you to be of service in a bigger way, because if you are being triggered in the space, whether it's a tangible space or an intangible space, social media is our intangible space, your vibration being triggered sends out an alarm, sends out a bell where you are at. And that will be if you are like, oh, this is the best, cutest energy. Yay. Or, oh my God, that scared me, or that made me so angry. You can't figure out why your kids are going nuts and your husband's angry. You're scrolling and being angry and being triggered, and you're now throwing that ping pong to something not in the room, and you're being triggered and you're sending out that energy.
And you're low in your vibrational level, you're low, you're
low, right, which pulls the energy around you down. Right. So
find myself
with boundaries.
You know, I get thrown back into 3D, going, well, now I'm angry, and okay, hold it, let it go. And a lot of times I'll just say, put that in a bubble and take it away.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost like makes you feel better.
Right. Well, and you become, she's just said, put it in a bubble, take it away. You guys, you can do that.
Yes.
Put it in a bubble, take it away. Because the second that you acknowledge it, and the second that you take ownership of it, we're right back to square one. Remember, we talked about responsibility, accountability, and owning it. We went full circle. The second you do that, you become the most powerful presence in the vibrational space of where you're at, which makes you in not control, but in the power position, and allows you to change the circumstance. So immediately, if you recognize that space, you can put it in the bubble, you can get rid of it, and it can go away. But if you go, well, if you just turn a blind eye, then you turn a blind eye. But if you take control of the situation and you choose to shift the energy and you choose a different direction, you're winning, right?
Yeah. Then your set of possibilities are opening up in another way.
Mm-hmm. I love it, Pat.
I hate it when I get thrown back in 3D, especially if I'm driving and some jackasses out there. And that's when I go, hold it.
Hold it.
I can almost feel somebody
having anger.
Yes. And I just go, put that in a bubble, take it away.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. And all of a sudden you just feel a little lighter.
Yep. If you are practicing, if you are somebody who is practicing energy, if you are somebody who's already in this space, if you're new to it, fantastic, great, wonderful. Thank you for being here. We love you so much. We are here for you to ask questions to, and to connect with us so that you can learn more or be more, or we can support you on your journey in any way we can. But if you're already somebody who is practicing, yes, we're all those things for you also, but utilize these tools in a bigger way, in a bigger area, and then ask yourself, where are you allowing your energy to be manipulated by outward expressions from other people? Because I love this. I used to hate driving. I had really bad road rage. I'm not going to lie. If you drive an ambulance, it's part of the core. Okay. I own it. I accept it. And I've moved on from it. But now I love, my husband and I will be driving, and if somebody gets antsy or aggravated or crazy, we have now brought it into our space that it's our perfect place to practice your energetic vibration. And so we either call in for clearing, or we call in for our bubble, or we ask that whatever is causing us to attract that to be released. We ask that that person move to the space that they need to safely, or that they are able to shift their energy because they're being triggered by something outside of themselves. They're being disconnected from love, which is why they're having that experience to begin with. And so we're using that as a place. I always was somebody that loved doing, we call it it's education in the car. Like, we used to listen to all these podcasts, and we used to listen to all these learning CDs. And now we're using it to do energy healing and practice our own energetic, keeping our vibration in a certain space, because road rage is a thing in a big way right now, and people just get behind the wheel and they're like, "Rah!" So utilize that space.
That happened at home, and then now they're still angry, so it's not about you necessarily.
No, it has nothing to do with you. Right. It's either they came from work angry, or they left the house angry, or they were talking on the phone, or they were doing something that caused them to get angry, or they're having anxiety about getting somewhere, or they've received a message that wasn't what they were hoping for. So utilize that time as ride time education, like, right. It's a perfect place for you to be able to practice and allow. Also, I like to think of in the space of the roads are your ability to flow, right? Because we're practicing flowing in that space. So utilize that space to open up channels of flow, of love, of light, of allowing yourself to, I'm driving in this car. Let that expand my energy. Let that expand my love. Let that expand my light. Let me release what is getting triggered from this person who's having an experience. Let us heal the space that we're both being triggered in, right?
Yes.
Think of the amount of miles, you guys, we could cover in love and light doing that every day.
Sometimes say return to sender, return it with speed, fill it with light so it can be freed. Okay, so you're not sending mean stuff, not sending with, you can feel it when somebody sends you something. Okay, and it's not good, but you don't send it back to them that way. You send it back, but you fill it with light so it can be freed.
Right.
So that instantly douses the whole thing.
And
even
though I think that's important to mention. I think that's important to mention because
it's just that's what's coming out of them right then.
Right, because a lot of the times they don't even realize it's taking place.
Right.
More often than not, projection, all of that, their anger, it's the fact that they've separated. It's a trauma response. It's a fact that they've separated from their self and they're in a fight or flight response of keep me safe. And so my fastest way to keep me safe is to fight. And then they get into attack thought mode, and there you go. It's everywhere. They've set the cannons free. And so all you're doing by sending it back to them without that love is creating a ping pong effect, I call it. And it's just creating a space to be shot again. And so what you want, like Pat said, you want to just allow it to be freed. Allow it to move on, because it stops that conversation completely. And it says, no, return to love, return to wholeness, return to safety.
There is such a thing as curses, practitioners who do that sort of work and all of that.
Absolutely.
So, I learned long ago, if somebody asks me to take a curse off them, they feel like there's something there, I do my journey. And they actually remove it, and they find you don't have to know where it came from, but I was always told never send it back to the dark practitioner. You take it, you put it in a crystal box, it neutralizes it and it takes it away. If you send it back, it makes them that much stronger.
It empowers them.
If you let it go, it takes a little power away from them. So we never want to give back the darkness, their own darkness, because they just go, hey, that felt good,
That was good.
That was good, yeah. So
energy boost.
No, thank you. Years, after years. It isn't something you're going to learn overnight.
Right.
But anybody can do it. You just, like I said, some people would think I'm going to send that curse right back to them. Worst thing you could do.
Right. And that's part of the practice. That's part of the showing up. That's part of the space of letting go of that ego mind that would say, oh, eye for an eye. You cursed me, I'll curse you. That's separation from love. That's separation from self. That's separation from humanity. That is separation from oneness. And that is not what evolution is. And so recognizing, oh, I'm sorry you felt so separate from yourself and separate from all these things that are love, light, and togetherness and unity and oneness and wholeness and universe and God and all the things. I'm sorry you felt that way and you felt that you needed to do that, but let's put it where it needs to go so it can be released and let go of and absolved and all the things so we can both move forward.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, Pat. in the space of it, I know you guys, this has been an amazing conversation. Pat and I could talk for literally ever. But in the space of it, while we wrap up here, what is it that if you hung up right this second, you would be like, oh my gosh, I need to tell them this. They need to know this. I cannot leave without having this conversation. What is that thing for you?
For me,
Yeah.
is to let everybody know that we are all one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what race, I don't care what religion. What they're trying to do to us now is separate us. And that's why I say, embrace your heritage, embrace where you came from, your ancestors, okay? And it's okay that you have your ritual Thanksgivings and your ritual, all of this. I think it's perfect. Don't let that go. Hang on to it because it's very special to you. I'm the first generation born in this country on both sides. My father was from England, my mother from Canada. Well, in Canada, they had around Christmas Eve, they had the Réveillon. Well, that was waking up, and that was after midnight mass. So we can't tell these people, oh, nobody does that anymore. That's silly. No, embrace it. And that's what we say, stand apart, but stand side by side.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by that, is that, all of these different races, it's wonderful. Look at they want to do this color thing about us. No, that's not us. And none of us want that. We want to stand arm in arm. And we want to share our humanity, our ancestral stuff with them, our nationalities. Hang on to your nationality. It's beautiful. But you can also share it and live amongst everyone else.
Right.
So that's, I guess, one
way of unity is education.
Is to stand side by side, even though we're all different. And thank God we're all different. It would be very boring. Quite boring.
Absolutely. Right. I think that's so important. So important, especially so prevalent at this time, is that the more that things change, the more that we evolve, the faster that people are evolving in their practices and in their personing and in their being and all these different places. It's not about choosing to hide who you are.
No.
Either. It's not about choosing to hide who you are. And it's not about being separate from somebody else just because they don't have the same beliefs that you are. It's embracing all of that. We are so multifaceted and so multicultural and so multi-dimensional on so many levels in so many areas. And I love that you are bringing that up, and I love that you are sharing that. And on so many levels, everyone should be encouraged to do all of their practices. Just because something that you believe in isn't believed in by somebody else doesn't mean that it's not right and true by you. There are so many differences in all of humanity's space and time. And you guys, they all came from somewhere.
Yes.
They all came from something.
And
they all have, and everything was okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everything was okay.
Right.
Not okay. It was wonderful.
Right. And it's okay to be different
than the other.
Right.
Right.
Just find the things that, if it makes you that uncomfortable, find the things that are similar.
Yes.
What is something music, that is
like Irish music? I'm not fond of it. It's not like I'm going to go out and listen to it. But I think it's wonderful that they have that and they love it. There are certain foods that I don't like. Well, I was never, I never was accustomed to that, but thank God, enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, because there's something for everyone. That's why it's not just classical music. There's rock and roll. There's
might not
pop music.
Rap, but if somebody likes rap, listen to it and enjoy it.
Great. Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have to go to all different concerts because it's not always my thing,
Right.
But it doesn't matter.
Right. I always love it. Like during December, there's over 90 different holidays that are celebrated in December from nationalities and religions around the world. There are 90 different holidays.
I didn't know that many. Wow,
yeah.
that's great.
And so I always love to point out to people that we might not all be practicing the same faith and religion. We might not all be practicing the same traditions, but if you look across most of them, I think it's all but 10 practice a space of unity, celebration around food, and lighting candles.
Yes.
So, hello, like
we're all the same.
We all have that in common.
And we may want to go with somebody, a friend of ours who does practice something else and enjoy it with them. Just say, I didn't know about this. Let's experience it.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. This has been an amazing conversation, Pat. I've loved having you here. I've loved
thank you for inviting me.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Right. I will be sharing links below of how you can be in contact with Pat. So please check out the show notes. If you have questions, again, leave comments and we answer these comments and questions. Those, again, are below in the show notes. You can just pop your questions in and we'll be in touch. And we have thanked you for being here and being of service in the way that you're showing up in the world. And we look forward to talking to you again in next time we catch up together. But if you are here today, don't forget that if you are somebody who has been interested in winning a session, you can leave a review and we will be putting that into our raffle and you might be able to win a free session with me. So we love that you're here. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you again next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And we want to hook you up because you're a loyal podcast listener. So head on over to www.rebeccapackard.com to get a special introductory price when you sign up for an emotion code session. Head on over to our website at www.rebeccapackard.com.